I think I have to start with the why, right? I think that's a good place to start because it's not just that we woke up and said it's a good idea to start learning the language as content. I think it's really rooted in why we started the channel in the first place. So it was the year 2020. It was during the pandemic, and we really just felt that at that time my wife was my girlfriend. We were dating, and we really just felt in our heart that what, a YouTube channel, it seems like a good idea. We really felt that God was actually telling us to start this channel, and we did. And one of the reasons why we did that is because we have family in India. So my wife and I schooled in Kenya. That's where we're based, and so we wanted to find a way of kind of introducing me to the family, without actually going to India. And YouTube was pretty much the way we thought we could do that. So we started to create videos in the beginning, just introducing us as a couple. And yeah, things started to pick up. Eventually, we got engaged. We documented this process, and before we knew it, we started adding more things. And the whole goal of the channel really just became um, to exchange our cultures, to kind of showcase both sides. And yeah, like I think at the end of the day, one of the things that drove us was the fact that there was no couple like us. We didn't know any couple that looked like us. We didn't know anyone who had a story like ours. And so we wanted to make sure that in our own little way, we could kind of showcase what that union looks like. When you think about Nigeria, when you think about India, these are two very culturally strong nations, right? Very interesting ways of life, countries that have very unique ways of doing things, from the dressing, the food. So we thought it would be very, very interesting to create a channel that actually showcased both of those things. Showcase what would happen with the Nigerian and an Indian, and that's what we did. So we started creating videos in the beginning, really just introducing ourselves, doing challenges here and there. But over a period of time, it started to evolve to us really just diving into our cultures, understanding um, where we come from. And I think that's one of the things that I would say. And obviously, maybe as we have this conversation, we can go in that direction. But I think that was really where we realized that that's what actually made us special as creators. We weren't really on YouTube to do what everyone else was doing. We were not going to be a channel that just highlights our relationship. We weren't just going to be, for lack of a better word, a couple channel. We wanted to be a channel that really showcases what happens when these two massive cultures collide, and really built it on a foundation of love. Because as I said in the beginning, we were trying to kind of sell the idea of us to the family in India. And so that's how it began. And honestly, the very first video that we did, um, I thinking back at it now, it's a very interesting day because it felt so spontaneous, and it felt like there was just, we had talked about this idea for a long, long time, and it was just at that point we were like, listen, we can't talk about this thing anymore. Let's just do it. And so I went online. I went to YouTube, ironically, and picked up a video where somebody explained how to use, the camera that I had with me at the time. So I used that video to get my first settings. Uh, I used my phone as what I was going to use for the audio. Went outside, set everything up. It was a very, very interesting day. And I think because of actually using YouTube as a guide, I can look back and say that our very first video, I'm so proud of the quality. I know that's not something that a lot of people say, right? I'm so proud of the quality because I really wanted to make sure we got our settings right. And yeah, it happened and finished it, and editing it wasn't really a problem because um, prior to that, I had learned a bit about editing. And I know that people who are listening right now, not everyone has that background, but I did have to learn these things. And I think that's one of the first things that I would say for anybody who wants to embark on this journey of content creation. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to learn the ropes, right? You need to really, really be able to learn. Yeah, just be willing to learn all these things, because at the end of the day, content creation is a mixture of so many different facets together. You're telling a story, and you need equipment to capture how you're telling that story, and you need to find ways to enhance the story you're telling through editing and things like that. So I had to go through my own season of learning, um, using YouTube resources, using people that I knew who were in the space, getting tips here and there, and it's always been a process. And in fact, looking at it now, the learning never stops. I've just literally been building on every single thing that I've learned from the beginning. And yeah, put up the first video.
Mm.
And after putting up the first video, basically shared it on our Instagram, on our socials, gave it to everybody, and we got a lot of support from that first video, because I think also our friends, everyone was also intrigued about the idea of a channel
Mm.
about Indian and Nigerian. So I think we had a really nice starting point. But obviously, that initial push is not enough to sustain a channel, right? People
Mm.
can, everyone supports your first video, and that's something I'll tell
Yes.
you. Everyone supports the first video, but it's about the videos you put after. How is that sustainable? But we just kept on going at it, and yeah, the rest is history. We fall in love with channels because of what the experience they give us. You fall in love with
Mm.
the channel because of the stories that they're telling, not really for the name. Because think about it, the biggest YouTuber in the world is a guy called Mr. Beast. What kind of name is Mr. Beast? It doesn't tell you
Yeah.
what he's going to create. So you see, at the end
Mm.
of, it's not important. His name is irrelevant. What is important is what he creates. And as a result of
Okay.
that, he's built a brand that has made that simple, insignificant name, Mr. Beast, mean something. So at the end of the day, it's so important to realize that your story is the most important thing. If you're going to embark on a very sustainable content journey where you want to make money, you want to build a living, you need to understand that, yeah, names are great. It's great to have that, but fundamentally, it's all about your story. And the business of content creation is built on an understanding of your audience. The business of content is built on audiences, right? So it's not built on a platform, which is why, even as much as we're talking about YouTube, it's very important to understand that the business of content is not necessarily tied to platforms. Yes, YouTube can be where you pitch your tent in the beginning, but the business of content is built on audiences. So it's really about understanding who is your audience, right? Now, that the answer to that question, you don't have the answer in the beginning, because there's nothing that you have to prove. You don't have the answer in the beginning. You need to test it, right? So let's think of a practical example. Let's say
Okay.
I make furniture, and I'm an interior designer. Let me just say I'm an interior designer, and I have passion for a certain unique type of furniture, something like that, right? And the style that I want. No, actually, let's use a different example. I think that's it. Let's think about somebody who teaches finance, right?
Okay.
Nigeria right now, we're talking about fintech. Nigeria is like it's the it's the Silicon Valley of Africa, in a lot of ways, right? We have the biggest, unicorns coming from Nigeria, the flutter waves, all these big boys are coming from Nigeria, right? Now, let's say you
Absolutely.
want to be a content creator that talks about fintech, right? So you want to talk about, the tools that are available and how to manage your finances. Okay, so you know that as you're entering this space, that's what you're going to do. But the question is, how do you know the kind of audience that it is that you're going to have? Now, the thing is, when we think about fintech and we think about finances, that's a very, very wide array of things, right? There are
Exactly.
people who want to find out, people are at different stages in their life. There's some people who want to understand how to succession at the stage in life that they're in. They want to know how to, how do I set myself up in a way that my children and my grandchildren can,
Mm.
make, benefit from these things. There are other people who are looking at finance from the position of, I'm just beginning. I want to know how to save. I want to know. So we're all on different journeys. So the question is, if you make a video, who is that video for? Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, your audience is going to drive and really set the tone for the kind of content that you create. So it's so
Okay.
important in the beginning to actually test the water. And the only way you can actually do this is through quantity. Now, I would not advise putting a video like, you're just spamming
Back to
YouTube
back. Mm.
every single minute. No, I think have a general schedule, have a plan. Say that maybe I'm going to come on and say, I'm going to upload 4 videos for the
Mm.
month, a video every week. That's a very easy place to start, because again, you don't want to start something you can't commit to. If you say you're going to do 8 videos, 2 videos every single week, it sounds like a great idea in the beginning, but you're just going to get burnt out quicker, right? So set a very, very reasonable goal for yourself. 4 or 5 videos